Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order tonight. Welcome, and thank you all for coming and being part of your government. Welcome to the Newton County Board of Commissioners meeting. Tonight is June 2nd, 2026 at 7 p.m. We are going to start the meeting, and we're going to ask Commissioner Edwards to do our invocation and Commissioner Henderson to lead us in the pledge.
If everyone will bow their heads, please. Dear Lord, thank you for another wonderful day to come to do the business of the county. We pray for your wisdom, your guidance, and we ask that you keep us all safe. Take us all home safe tonight, and we ask all these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
And now we're going to do public comments. We do public comments in the beginning if you would like to talk about any. Oh, sorry. We got to adopt the agenda first. So do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight? Second? All those in favor? Okay. Now we're going to go to public comments. I was excited. So, all right. So we're going to give you 3 minutes. If your time gets cut off after 3 minutes, we apologize, but that is the policy. If you would like to talk to any commissioner, or you can always get in touch with us. We have lots of ways to get in touch with us if you need us, and we love to speak with you. So, so public comments. This is anyone that would like to come up and speak about agenda topics only. We will have an open session at the end for you to speak about any matters that you would like. And just state your name for the record.
Maya Allen, D3. Good evening, board. I'm up here to speak in regards to the non-report from the county manager. I located a property at 291 Hinton Circle, Covington, Georgia, 30016. It's described as a 20-plus acre
That's
available.
not on the agenda tonight. That's not an item. If you want that, there's nothing for the chairman. I mean, there's nothing for the county manager to report, so there's no items on there to report.
We'll ask that he'll have a report next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, board. I'm speaking on the consent agenda, which is 7H. And this is an honest question because I've never seen this, and this actually pertains to District 5. When you have boards, you want to make sure that your residents are a part of the governing body. This is why we have boards within the county, to be able to be a part of the decision making and knowing what's going on. And this is an honest question. I would love to know why Commissioner Long is appointing herself to her District 5 seat for the library board. Let's make sure we put people in place in the county, our residents, who need to be a part of our system and what's happening within our community. And I would love to know, maybe something happened or occurred. I just want to know if you can expound on that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Susan Jackson, District 2. This is regarding the zoning agenda, the auto zone. Okay. I want to respectfully ask that you vote no to the proposed auto zone on Brownbridge Road. And this is not about opposing any type of business. I've been preaching this for a long time. Newton County, we want smart growth. We want to protect the character of our community. Brownbridge Road is experiencing increased traffic and development pressure. Before approving another commercial project in this corridor, I ask that it needs to align with the vision of the community. We want walkable, bikeable neighborhoods, and many families, we chose to live here because we at that time the growth was balanced and quality of life, but piece by piece we're losing that the character. And I just want to let you know, as commissioners, it's your responsibility to hear the voices of your residents. And it's your responsibility as well to determine what can be built and what should be built. We urge that you consider the long-term impacts on traffic, safety, property values, and our overall character as a community. Also, another thing I wanted to ask, this is regarding 12, the Safe Streets for All. I want to know if there's been a list for what is the most dangerous intersections in our county, if there's been some type of traffic study to kind of support where we're going to put this money. Thank you.
Anyone else? Agenda topics? Okay, thank you. We'll close that. The next thing on our agenda would be reports from the chairman. There is none. Reports from the county manager.
Good evening, Vice Chair, Commissioners. I do not have anything to report.
Thank you. Next is our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved. All those in favor? Thank you. That passes. All right, let's go to new business. New business, and we're going to have Miss Brandy Birch from the Sheriff's Department. Is she here? Yes.
Hello, good evening. Okay, you wanted me to start? All right. Okay, so the Sheriff's Office is applying for the fiscal year 25 SCAP grant. That is a formula grant that is based on the number of undocumented criminal aliens, the number of all inmates in the jail, and the number of correctional officers that worked during the fiscal year of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. There's no match on the grant, and the amount is determined by the Department of Justice. Any questions?
Do I have a motion? A second? I'll second. And we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Any questions before we, it didn't seem like anybody wanted to talk, so, all right. Thank you, Ms. Brandy.
Thank you.
All right, it passes. Okay. Next, we're gonna have Mr. Kregg Lumpkin come down. This is another grant they'd like to talk to us about.
Good evening,
Good
Chair,
evening.
Board of Commissioners. Standing before you this evening to ask for approval of something, so the Safe Tow grant. This grant will provide additional life safety vest stations and personal floating devices throughout strategically placed in Lake Varna. This is in addition to the Newton Factory shows, as well as the drew a blank.
So is there any match for that or any additional monies that we have to put out first?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Do I have a motion? Any discussion? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Okay, passes. Thank you so much for coming tonight. It's always nice to see you, and happy belated birthday. All right, next will be Public Works. This is to the 2026 Local Road Assistance Project List. And do we have, Mr. Wright is sick from what I understand. He just called in. So you're going to do that. Our county manager will take this one.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair, Commissioners. This is a list that is in your packet that's for each district. Excuse me, yes, and this is for funding for GDOT to, for $1.9 million for those additional road pavings per district with the list that's provided to you. No, there's
Funding
no
matches
match.
or anything?
There's no match.
All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Mr. Henderson?
Well, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Excuse me. So if, on this list, say if I went through the list and I seen maybe another road, could it be changed?
With this list, what we can do is take a look at that list with the proposed road that for a change, and maybe we can take a look at maybe some additional funding. But as this list is currently structured, this is the list that will be going to GDOT for final approval once the Board of Commissioners approve it.
Okay, so does it have an amount for each district as far as the money that may be spent or however, or given to us?
Yes, sir. What it was done, the list was provided by a breakdown of roads, the road mileage, and also a high level thought of what it would cost per district for those for the paving projects per road.
Right. So does some district have more, I guess, paving mileage than others? I'm asking because typically in District 4, because the city of Covington pays a good portion of the roads in District 4, then we will receive less than other districts. So I'm asking, is that still the case?
Looking at the roadmap, proposed project list, what the team did is to take a look at each one, the severity of the roads, and balance those out so that as evenly as possible is spread amongst all 5 districts.
Okay, thank you.
I think you have 12, Commissioner, and I have 6, but I haven't done the dollar amounts. Does it equal like the same dollar amounts or something, or is it just based on need?
It's based on needs, first off, and then it also goes by the linear feet or, point whatever miles, how much of that road is actually being repaved. So like Commissioner Henderson indicated, that he will have multiple roads, but they're going to be a shorter duration of repairs versus like Commissioner Edwards have a longer duration, therefore it will be less projects in his district.
All the ones that I have been talking to the road department about are on the list, so I'm excited to see that they are on there. And I know they do a good job of trying to evaluate this list. Any other comments from the board? Do I have a motion? I already have that in a second. So all those in favor? Passes unanimously. Okay. We are going to be on agenda item number 11, consideration of a multi-use trail easement agreement between the Newton County and Hillpointe LLC at Ramway and Crowell Road. And I believe that's going to go back to the county manager. Mr. Wright is not here.
Yes, this is pretty much an agreement for easement so we can continue on the trail right there at the Ramway and Crowell Road. So we're just asking permission for the board to have the chair to sign this agreement.
Any discussion? Let's all take a vote. Everybody in favor? Motion passes. Number 12 now. This is the consideration of Safe Streets for All. It's a professional service agreement with Pond and Company for Safe Streets for All Safety Action Plan. Is a Federal Highway Administration funded project, and it settles local governments. And if you can elaborate on this, there is some funding by the county, so we'll let Mr. County Manager do that one.
So this is a project that we have entering an agreement with a firm to take a look at all the roads within the county and some cities to look at the safetyness of them, and come back with a evaluation and different options, propose different options to correct those, to make them safer. So the cost is $480,000. There's a 20% local match.
And is that budgeted?
Yes, that is
I believe it
budgeted.
appears to be. Okay. Is this addressing some of the areas that we have some huge concerns about in our community?
Some of them. Now, the only ones that we'll touch on briefly, it will be the state road. So that's a different conversation that we're having with GDOT about specifically, let's say, Highway 36 and Lackey Road. That's another conversation that we're currently having with GDOT.
But we are actively having those conversations.
Yes, we are.
All right. Do I have a motion? Second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes. All right. Once again, number 13, consideration of Wright Brothers Construction Company, a change order project for Brown Bridge Road over Yellow River, replacement cost, and the funding source is going to be Splosh. So you want to go ahead?
So this is a change order for this particular project. There was several things that happened during this project. One, the duration was extended because of some of the things that we had to do for environmental impact, and some requirements that we had through the state. Also, we had some cost overruns with the paving and concrete. So for the amount of the project, I think, if I recall correctly, the $183,000 was a 2% escalator that for the duration of that project. So we were asking for approval to do for the change order number 5.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Second? Any discussion? Okay. Commissioner Henderson.
How much, I guess for the change order, how much more, I mean, would it be, like, this question that came to mind? Or do you know that number?
Yeah, so the amount that we're requesting will actually close out this whole project. The project is done. We're just getting all the paperwork, and so the $183,825.25 will close out the project.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Motion passes. Number 14. This is going to be. Oh, I guess that'll be me, yeah. Yeah, that'll be you. Go ahead. Not having to work you too hard tonight.
Yeah, I'm out of practice. So, as some of you may know, because we've done this before, the Newton County Employee Handbook provides for the appointment from time to time of a personnel hearing officer. The purpose of the personnel hearing officer is to hear grievances and appeals as may be filed from your employees from time to time. And what we thought it was a good idea to do would be to go ahead and have a PHO, is what we call a personal hearing officer, appointed and on standby if we need one. So we're not scrambling if we have to have a hearing. The process is, under the ordinance, is that the chair and the manager make a recommendation to the board. And the recommendation has been made for an attorney named Peter Macero to serve in that capacity. Mr. Macero has been an administrative law judge, I believe, and a hearing officer, and is an attorney who focuses on employment law. He came recommended to me from Stephanie, who usually sits in this seat, and I will tell y'all, we have no relationship with him other than we know him and we've dealt with him in the past. We recommend we appoint him if the chair and the manager or we come up with any other people. We'll present them as well, because it's always a good idea to have a handful of options. So that's the recommendation we make, is to approve the resolution appointing Mr. Macero as a personnel hearing officer for Newton County.
Do we have a motion? Second? I'll second it because there's going to be discussion. Go ahead, Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. So, Patrick, give us a 5-bullet item description of what this person does, please.
So imagine an employee is dissatisfied with the manner in which he or she is being treated by his or her department head. And that would be an example. Your employee handbook provides a mechanism by which that employee can file a grievance. That a grievance goes to HR. The grievance would basically say, I'm being mistreated for an improper reason by my supervisor. And if it rises to the level, there's multiple levels that the grievances go through. But if it rises to the level, essentially if it can't be resolved at the department head level, or can't be resolved at the sort of HR management level, then it could go to a personnel hearing officer, and that hearing officer would do exactly that, would convene a hearing, and would hear the explanation, hear the evidence, and issue a ruling. It would likewise, the personnel hearing officer likewise presides over appeals from disciplinary actions by your rank and file employees. So if an employee is suspended or terminated and wants to appeal, that appeal ultimately goes to the personnel hearing officer. So if one of those comes up, what we would do is we would contact the personnel hearing officer. They would then schedule appropriate hearings, meetings, whichever would be required, preside over them, and at the end of the hearing, issue a ruling. And they can reverse the decision, they can uphold a decision, they can recommend other decisions, other levels of discipline or termination or a resolution of a grievance.
So does this any of these scenarios you just talked about, do they rise to the level of the county? When do they rise to the level of the county manager, or do they?
Yes, they go through the county manager before they go to the personnel hearing officer, yes. And the idea of it is to have a truly neutral, independent person hear the evidence and render a decision. That's the purpose for it.
So this is mediation of some type, maybe?
More like an arbitration than it is a mediation, but there is always an aspect of mediation. The lower level grievance, I think our grievance is 3 steps. Steps 1 and 2 are more like mediation, and those are handled internally. And those are where everybody sits down, it's discussed. If it can be worked out, it can be worked out. We only rise to the personnel hearing officer if it cannot be resolved, or if there is a termination or other disciplinary action subject to appeal.
So the personnel hearing, that hearing officer, does their decision supersede the county manager's decision?
Yes, it could.
If it conflicts?
It could, yes.
Okay, so that does not conflict with our county form of government?
It does, but it doesn't, because your form of government authorizes you to create a personnel policy and to provide for that. As long as ultimately that process renders a result that we all have confidence in, we won't likely have a problem. What we can do, because we've had this discussion about making some revisions to the employee handbook anyway. What we can do, if the board would prefer, is we can there's no emergency to get this position appointed. It was just time to do it. We can hold off on this as we revisit the handbook and make sure we do a way that raises less items.
Madam Chair, can I amend my motion, please? I'd like to amend my motion to table for a period of 60 days.
That's a good idea.
Do we have a second for that? More discussion? Commissioner Henderson? Do I need a second before? I need okay, second. Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess the question is, how'd you say we came to this? You said that they were recommended by who?
Well, we don't have a process. Historically, how this has been done, this will be the 4th or 5th appointment of a personnel hearing officer. How it has traditionally been done is whoever's sitting in my chair right now, the county attorney, has made some recommendations to the chair and to the manager, and that's how they came about in this instance. We made the recommendation for Mr. Massaro.
So I thought I heard you said that she was recommended by Stephanie to the chair.
That's correct.
And to the county manager.
That's correct.
And so I guess how can someone Find the right word for me, Madam Chair.
You usually need me sitting beside you to help you with
Yeah,
that.
because the reason why I said it, because I was thinking that people who are outside, regardless of whatever the situation may be, does not make recommendations to the chair or to this board, and that it takes away from, in my opinion, the county manager. I mean, y'all just went up there the other day and stood up and said, we're going to do it this way. And then all of a sudden you say, well, no, we got to have somebody else kind of tell him what to do. So I'm just trying to figure where we at.
I think you agree. We need more attention on this,
I
so
think
we're
we need-
going to
I
table
think we need
that.
to trash it.
So all those that would like to table this for 60 days, can I see yes or no? And so it's 3-0. I mean 3-1. 3-1. Sorry. All right. Thank you. We are going to take a pause for just a minute because we have zoning at 7:30, and we have just a few minutes before we can start the zoning hearings at 7:30. I'm enjoying that. Okay, we're going to start our zoning hearing. Thank you all. So we're going to have our zoning director, planning director come up right now. And we only have one for this evening. That's exciting.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Good evening, Board of Commissioners. We have one zoning petition this evening. It is a conditional use permit, CUP 26-000002, located at 11400 Brownbridge Road, tax ID 0027067F. It's on 1.62 acres. It's in the development node, and the existing zoning is general commercial, and in the Almond Tier 2 non-residential mixed use overlay. The watershed is Yellow River. It's located in Commissioner District 4. The current owner is KPGC Properties LLC, and our petitioner today is William Latta from Kimberly Horn and Associates, and they'll be represented by Dennis Webb with SGR Law. The intent this evening is to develop an auto parts business, which is an auto zone store in the Almond Tier 2 overlay. So just a brief history. We've had our first community meeting on this project back in March, on March 10th. This was held over the Biddy's Restaurant, which is on the same property location. And per the applicant, all of those in attendance expressed that they were in favor of the proposal and that there was a need for an auto zone in the area. There was no opposition, but it should be noted that the attendance at this meeting was fairly low. On March 24, the Planning Commission tabled the petition for 60 days, and the citizens who spoke in opposition at the Planning Commission meeting, they expressed a desire to see different business use developed. They also expressed too many auto parts stores already in the area. They discussed flooding and concerns with car repairs being done on the site. The petitioner at the Planning Commission meeting explained that the nearest auto zone is over 3 miles away. No auto repairs will be done on site. He discussed market needs, stormwater facility will be developed. They're planned to have 12 to 15 employees and increase property values. And the property is designed for delivery trucks that will deliver during off-peak hours, and there's also an existing D-cell lane that the current businesses are using. The second community meeting was held on May 12th, 2026, and this was also at the Biddy's Restaurant at Brown Bridge Road. So the property owner and the project engineer discussed the following. So the property's development history. The property owner expressed that he had turned down multiple dollar store interest and offers. They expressed that the auto zone is a low traffic use and how the land is limited to the types of uses that can go on the site. The property owner also offered to receive citizens' comments on the future projects that he will be working on. Most of the citizens in attendance, however, spoke in opposition and discussed the following: that other auto parts stores in the area, that we have more in the area, they had concerns about congestion, traffic, and the need for a traffic light. More businesses were needed for children, for example, at Dave & Buster's, and the need for preferable businesses like nice restaurants, recreational, etc. On 5/26, the Planning Commission met again to consider this petition. They recommended the denial of CUP 26-000002 by a vote of 4-1, and the reason stated was due to citizens' comments. So the citizens at this Planning Commission meeting who spoke in opposition discussed the following. They felt that there was not enough citizens that attended the first community meeting. More preferable business should be developed instead of an auto zone. Traffic, they had concerns about traffic, parking spaces, potential AutoZone customers using the adjacent BDC store parking lot, and the proposed use in conflict with the Almond Overlay small-scale business parking and walkability standards. The property owner at the Planning Commission meeting, or the representative, they both discussed the property's history, AutoZone's soft traffic use, turn down of multiple dollar store interests, that the required parking spaces are met, that there are no auto parts stores in the immediate area, and the possibility to add a condition that prohibits auto repairs on site and requires site monitoring. So the first meeting that was held on 10/26, as we said, the attendance was low. That's on the left. On the second meeting, we had more people at that one on 5/12, and where we had our discussion, or where the developer had a discussion with community members. So the subject site and site plan analysis, as you can see to the corner of Kirkland Road and Brown Bridge, this parcel here. So it's an undeveloped site with dual road frontage on Brown Road and Kirkland. The surrounding uses, you have the restaurant, which is the Biddy's, a C-store with pumps. There's a funeral home across Brown Bridge Road here. There's a daycare center here. And then, of course, you've got single-family residents in the nearby area. The proposed square feet is 95 square feet. AutoZone building will be facing the Brown Bridge Road. They're proposing 25 parking spaces that surround the building to the east, the south, and the west. Ingress and egress will be off of Brown Bridge Road and Kirkland Road. Parcel interconnectivity with the adjacent daycare and center C-store and restaurants is catered for. And the site plan meets or exceeds all the minimum building setbacks listed in section 450-060 of the UDO, 2020 UDO. This is just a close-up of the concept plan. So we have Brown Bridge Road and Kirkland. This is one access point here. There's a second one here off of Brown Bridge Road. You have their stormwater facility. And of course, per the ordinance, only one row of parking is allowed adjacent to the roads. And so that's what they're showing. Then they have parking on the side here as well. And they're showing 25 parking spaces, 1 ADA parking space, which would meet the requirements. These are the proposed elevations. They're meeting the overlay standards, the aesthetics of having the brick sides. It looks like all sides. And there's the materials that they're using there. Of course, you have the appropriate fenestration facing the roads. So in conclusion, staff's of the opinion that the AutoZone may be appropriate at this location since it meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance. And per the applicant, those that attended the community meeting on March 10th also expressed their approval and emphasized the need for an AutoZone in the area. An opposition email was received after the first community meeting, and the concerns stated including proximity to the residential homes and schools, property values, traffic, and the overall morale and cohesion of the community. Citizens that attended the second community meeting on May 12th expressed their desire for developing a more preferable business on site, such as nice restaurants, recreational facilities, entertainment. And the property owner offered to take their feedback suggestion, for other projects. Staff recommends that should the Board of Commissioners approve the conditional use permit request to develop the AutoZone store, then the approval will be with the following recommended conditions. Should this petition be approved by the Board of Commissioners, it should be approved for a conditional use permit for an auto parts business AutoZone, conditional and subject to the owner's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. Where these conditions conflict with the stipulations and the offerings contained in the letter of intent, these conditions shall supersede unless specifically stipulated by the Board of Commissioners. So the owner's agreement to abide by the following. A, the site plan and legal description received by the Department of Development Services on January 9th, 2026. Said site plan is conceptual only and must meet or exceed the requirements of the zoning ordinance and these conditions prior to the approval of a land disturbance permit. Unless otherwise noted herein, compliance with all conditions shall be in place prior to the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy. 2, to the owner's agreement to abide by the following development standards. A, comply with the Almond Overlay Development Standards as applicable. B, provide satisfactory ingress and egress to be approved by the county transportation engineer. C, overnight parking of commercial vehicles on the lot is prohibited. D, submit appropriate plans or plats, including a stormwater plan, to be reviewed and approved by Development Services Department, Public Works, Newton County Fire Services, the Water Authority, and Georgia Soil and Water Commission. E, obtain environmental health approval before the issuance of a business license as applicable. F, prior to the release of a business license, provide a copy of an approved fire inspection from the Newton County Fire Department to Development Services. G, limit the number of total occupants to the occupancy load set by the Newton County Fire Marshal. H, obtain and maintain a Newton County business license. So this is current site photo. So the parcel's at the corner here. So you have the restaurant in the rear, and this is the daycare. This is a survey of the parcel. It is in general commercial zoning, so it's this parcel in front here. Overlay map, it's in the Almond Tier 2 non-residential mixed use overlay. The development node is the future land use map. Yellow River is the watershed located in Commissioner District 4. And that concludes staff's presentation. Madam Chair, this is a public hearing.
Thank you. Now, we will hear from you have 10 minutes for people that are for the petition, and then we'll do the people opposed to the position. Come up and please state your name.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Den Webb, 1105 West Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30309, here on behalf of the applicant. Before I begin, let me introduce a couple of folks who are here with me. First, in the white there is Kevin Price. Kevin is the owner of the property. And to Kevin's left is Brad Horble, who is the civil engineer on this project. I'm going to try and not cover the same ground that staff did, but let me touch on a few issues here, if I can get this to work. Staff did a good job of orienting you to the site. You see it there at the corner of Brown Bridge and Kirkland Road. This is actually the last lot in a master plan commercial development that started 20 years ago. You can see that everything around it has been built out, and staff went through the different uses there. Additionally, across Kirkland Road at the corner is a C-store that's going in right now. As you heard, this property is 1.62 acres. It's zoned CG, and it's in the Almond Road overlay. I started with the Planning Commission the same way I want to start with you guys and talk a little bit about AutoZone, because it's important that you understand what it is, and equally important, what it is not. It is a retail auto parts store. It focuses on DIYers, right? Hit your headlights out. You go into AutoZone, you buy a bulb, you walk out with your bag, you take it home, and you change the bulb. It is not a repair shop. It's not a service shop. There are no lifts, there's no hydraulic tools, there's no mechanics. They sell auto parts just like other specialty retailers, like office supply stores, like hardware stores, or like sporting goods stores. Turn a little bit to the site plan here and touch on this briefly. You'll see the store in the middle of the screen there. It's one story, 35 feet tall. You heard it's proposed to be about 6,600 square feet, but only about 3,300 square feet of that are actually the showroom floor, so there is storage in the back. This site has 2 access points, as you heard, but those exist there now. We're not creating any new access points for this property. We're using the ones that are already there. The site will be landscaped and professionally maintained. We have presented the hours of operation. They're comparable to the other businesses that literally are next door to us. We talked a little bit about deliveries at the Planning Commission. The expectations, it's about 1 delivery per week sometime between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. There'll be 12 to 15 employees at this location, and there is security provided by a camera system on site. As you heard, this proposal meets every requirement of the underlying zoning, the general commercial district, and it also meets all requirements of the Almond overlay, including architecture, and you heard a little bit about that. This is a building we actually designed for this property to meet your architectural requirements. It is 4 sides brick. It has a defined color palette based on your code. It also includes awnings, which is not typical. We have done something similar to this in another location. This is not exactly what we're proposing here, but it's pretty close. We wanted to show a picture so you could kind of get a feel for what we're proposing. As you heard, staff is recommending approval of this application subject to conditions. We agree to every condition. So for that reason, I'm going to abbreviate my presentation so I can get to your questions, but I want to touch on just a couple things. Number one, this is where uses like this are supposed to go. If you actually read the code on the CG or General Commercial District, it says the CG General Commercial District is primarily composed of heavy commercial and light industrial uses usually located near population centers and which may generate increased traffic and congestion. This property is on the main east-west arterial roadway in this county. It is a commercial corridor now. As you heard, it's also compatible with what's around it. Again, we are literally here at the corner, and we are surrounded by existing commercial now with the C-store going into our east across the street. And this use is consistent with sort of the future vision for this area, and I want to touch on that because someone said in the beginning, during the public comments, a woman, I didn't catch her name, from District 2 said, we want to protect the community. The comp plan reflects the will of the community. It reflects the future vision that the community has articulated over a year-long process of charrettes and meetings, and that this county adopted as its policy, and this is consistent with the comp plan as the staff confirms in its report. I think I'm going to stop there so I can get to your questions. You know, we sent out a letter for the first meeting to every single property owner within 1 mile, and very few people came because we believe very few people were concerned about this. We had more at the second meeting because there was someone here who was trying to generate traffic to that meeting. You know, it was an opponent of this application who came out and got people there. We've done our best to make sure that we are complying with the code here. We've done our absolute best to make sure we're complying with the comp plan. I mean, this request is pretty simple. We want to take a vacant piece of property. We want to create a tax contributing asset in this community that we think doesn't have any negative impacts and meets all of the ordinances here in Newton County. So with that, I think I will stop, and we'd ask your recommendation of approval, subject to staff conditions. Thank you.
Okay, stop the time. All right. Anybody else that would like to speak in favor of the project? Okay, we're going to reserve your time for you. If there's questions and or comments, you can come back. Is that okay? Okay. All right. Now, those that want to speak in opposition of the project, you can come up now. There'll be 10 minutes total. And just give your name, please.
Good evening. My name is Kim. I live in Westfield Village. So I was at Biddy's on May 12th. They are doing construction on Brown Bridge very soon, which is the most traveled road in the county. According to my research, the average daily traffic is 17,686. They're supposed to be expanding Brown Bridge in certain cases. They also have a $85 million GDOT project approved by Governor Kemp of widening Salem Road. So our subdivision, myself and my neighbor, we're here tonight, Westfield Village, we are too high density in District 3. You're putting us in a traffic jam. We got people coming in from the Kirkland entrance and coming in from the Kroger entrance that are just speeding, trying to get away from the congested traffic. And oh, by the way, I keep hearing that there's no auto zone within 3 miles. Well, if I'm correct on my research, the auto zone that sits in Salem was redistricted from District 3 to District 2. So if you go down Kirkland, make the left on Salem, there's an auto zone right there. Nobody's going into that auto zone, getting lights or horns or whatever for their cars and taking it home. They're sitting right there in that parking space and working on their cars, putting a battery in their car. This was not meant for the overlay. It was meant for small scale walkable development, mixed use with residential component, small time charm, development attracted to residents. This is not what's supposed to be built in that area. So I oppose it. Thank you for letting me speak.
Good evening again, everyone.
Say your name one
My
more
name
time.
is Susan,
Okay.
Susan Jackson, and I want to say no, absolutely not, regarding the auto zone. And this is a perfect example. Residents, we are not opposed to growing. What we are opposed to is thoughtful growth. We want walkable, bikeable neighborhoods. I'm going to keep saying that. And I want to also address what he's saying about our residents not showing up for the meeting, because I feel, because I've been doing this quite some time, and what's happening is we're exhausted. We have families. We voted for our commissioners, and we've given them, this is what we want. And we have to keep coming back over and over and over again, because apparently someone's not listening. Or they tell me one thing and they say another. So it's not that folks don't show up, it's that we're exhausted. And if we do say something, will you listen? Will you listen? So I want to say no. again, and I urge you, please, this time, consider whether this AutoZone, it's the best thing. I'll take a Ace Hardware before I take an AutoZone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Denise Williams. This is something that Leanne and we've been talking about this, and I talk about it to the other board members as well. I just want to give y'all a little history because I did speak at the planning and zoning meeting about the meeting that they had, the community meeting. I traveled that road on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it wasn't advertised properly about the first meeting. So when they had the first meeting, the only people that showed up, because I did an open record request from China, and the only people that was there were BD employees because it wasn't advertised properly. So that's when we asked them to have another community meeting, advertise it right, put it on the county website, and so people can come out. So we came back out. But what I want to say is, why was the overlay put in place? It was put in place to protect the area and the density. So we don't have a problem with them building something there, but we want them to build something there that they don't have to change the conditional use. That's what we want there. And now that they put a gas station right there on the corner, before that gas station came, we could not get out on Kirkland Road. You have to sit there for the longest to go left or right. Okay, so now you got a gas station that's coming up because you heard them say it's a C-store coming there. So you can tell by the way they built it, it's going to be a lot of wrecks right there. And now you want to put an AutoZone there? We got one right up the street. And just like the young lady said, their AutoZone, they claim they don't work on the vehicles in the parking lot, but they do. They do, because we have pictures and videos. They do. So we want something there that fits the plan where the conditional use won't have to be changed. Thank you.
Maya Allen, D3, I too am in opposition. The gentleman in favor of mentioned the master plan, and it's planned 20 years ago. Well, we all know Newton County has changed, and that's why we're in the process of redoing our UDO currently. So that's false to say that it meets all the requirements. It won't once this UDO comes out. I also want you all to take note that the people that you all put on the planning board said no. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Tina McCrae, District 2, and I am in the Westfield Village area. I also attended the meeting at Biddy's, and number one, we did not receive notification. He said 1 mile, but we're part of that community. We didn't get any notification, so we came when we heard about it. I don't know if it was social media or what, but we showed up because a lot of people didn't know. The other thing that was stated was that at the meeting here with the planning committee, they said, well, if the people start working on the cars in the parking lot, y'all can just call code enforcement and get them to stop doing it. And then y'all, the store owner, the people at Biddy, because we were at the restaurant, and the Biddy's owner he was saying, well, if they tell them not to work on it in that parking lot, they're gonna come over and take up my parking in the parking lot. And I brought that up. Well, all they gotta do is call code enforcement. No, we're not gonna do that work for you. We don't wanna have to do that. We want something that, we don't need duplication. That's no different than more gas stations. We already have 2 of those different auto zones. We want something, like we said, we want development, but we want something that's going to be good for us and good for the community. Thank you.
Elena Sanders, I just want to paint a picture. We used to have Bell's Grocery Store, right? Now it's the garage door opener store that never was brought before the community to get our input. On where the gas station's about to go, this community, Those people back here along with me fought tirelessly not to put a Dollar General right there. It made national news where I was interviewed about us beating a Dollar General store. So now we're trying to put an Advance Auto. What do we have in that community that benefits us that would stop us from going to restaurants over in Rockdale County? I keep saying this over and over again about economic development. All of our sales tax and dollars are going into Rockdale because the people in District 3 and part of District 4 and 2 in that corridor don't have the businesses that we want to patronize. So that's why you're not getting the sales tax you need to offset some of the budget costs. So if you bring in those things that we want, we will patronize them and stop bringing things up on us that we do not want within our community because we live in that area. Thank you.
There's 1 minute and 47 seconds if anybody else wants to speak. She can come forward.
I just have a question, and based on my research, I could be wrong, and the lawyer can confirm it. Seems like this auto zone that's going there is going to be smaller. So my question to the developer, why are you putting a smaller auto zone? Because I researched the dimensions of auto zone. So we have several in the county. We have one going toward Georgia 20. We make that Wright on 212 coming from my direction. Then you got Elm Street, and then the Salem Road. My question is, based on the number of parking spaces that's specified in the UDO, it seems like we are building a smaller auto zone because my research yield, because I am HR, so I do study the American Disability Act. If you're gonna build a smaller one, yes, you are correct, only one parking space. But if you're gonna build a regular size auto zone, it requires 2 parking spaces based on the American Disability Act. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to close that portion. The petitioner does have some extra time left if you would like to use your time.
Got a lot of notes. I'm going to kind of address these items in no particular order. The first item I have in here is Brown Bridge has a lot of traffic. Yes, it does. As I mentioned before, it's the main east-west commercial corridor in this county, and that's why this property and everything around it is zoned CG, which again is designed for heavy traffic uses, and that's why this property shows as a development node in the comp plan, and that's not going to change under the UDO, but again, we are operating under the current UDO. I've heard from a couple folks at Westfield Village. All I can say about that is this commercial master plan project was started before that development started. So the person who built it drove by and decided this isn't going to hurt, or this doesn't change my decision to build a subdivision up there. And the folks who bought homes in that subdivision drove by this development, thought this doesn't change my thoughts about buying property in it either. There was a question or sort of a comment about y'all call code enforcement. Let me tell you how that came up. There was a question about work being performed in the parking lot. And my point was, this isn't a rezoning, right? This is a conditional use permit. This use is allowed under the CG district with conditions that are designed to negate any impacts. My point was, if you think that's a negative impact, you're worried about that, add a condition. Put a condition that says there will be no auto repair in the parking lot. And my point was, then the community has recourse. Anybody can call code enforcement and say, hey, I saw somebody working on a car in the parking lot, and they'll go out and check it out. Auto zone locations. This has come up every time I've shown this image a couple times now. The closest auto zones, east or west, are basically 15 minutes or so in either direction. You can see them here on the plan. One is about a little over 5 miles away. The other is about 6 miles away. Someone made a comment about the first meeting not being advertised properly. That is not correct. Again, we sent a letter out to every single property owner within 1 mile. If you didn't get a letter, you don't live within a mile. Denise Williams raised that issue with me when we walked out. She said, I didn't get a letter. I said, where do you live? She said, I live about 3 miles away. And I said, well, that's why. There was a question about, we want other things in this community that's, weekend frequent. There are 2 restaurants in this commercial master plan development already, right? So there are options here now. There was a question about the size of the AutoZone. This is a standard prototype size for AutoZone. There's nothing different here. And again, the parking count, which staff has confirmed tonight at the Planning Commission and the staff report, does meet the requirement because it's based on the showroom space, right? We've got about 3,300 square feet of actual showroom floor. Back of house accommodates or takes up the rest of the square footage. And I guess the last thing I'm going to talk about, this is sort of what we've heard, you know, we don't want this. Again, there are 12 criteria in the code, and we don't want this is not one of them. Somebody said tonight, this isn't what's supposed to be built here. That's not right. You have a comprehensive plan that you've adopted that projects the future vision of this area, and this is the kind of thing that's supposed to be built here. Again, we're getting a conditional use permit because they want, the code expects you to take a harder look at it and add conditions that will ameliorate any impact, but it doesn't say reject it. That's really not the point of this exercise. This is consistent with the comp plan, and you don't have to take my word for it. That staff says the same thing. So with that, I think I will conclude. We'd ask for your recommendation of approval, subject to staff conditions, which again, we agree with. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes the public hearing. Okay, do I have a motion? This is in District 4.
I don't know if it's a good vibe or a bad vibe, Leanne. You know, I was at the second meeting, and you know, while we were talking, and I was more in the role of listening, as far as, and also I was looking for my constituents, especially this 4, because that's what I do. That's the reason why, maybe by being alone, I can spot out some of my older constituents just by looking over the room. I said, oh, there's somebody I know. And I may have seen in that second meeting one, and I think I mentioned it to him. I had mentioned it to my friends. And so what kept coming up at the meeting was that we want a restaurant. We want another children care center or something of that effect. And so the question, and I think I may have asked the question while I was there, which I probably should have just kept my mouth closed. I said, why not an advanced auto? And we kept going back, so we want a restaurant, we want this. But the question was at hand, why can't we have an advanced auto parts store here? And so I thought about it, and I went home and I called some of my constituents, the ones that I knew numbers. You know, nowadays when you run for office, you can get everybody's telephone number. You can call down the street, and that's basically everybody who run for office. So I made a few telephone calls, and the one in District 4, some in Arbor Lake, all the way back to off Brown Bridge Road. Half of them said they didn't care what you put there. The other half said, and I never did get a person that I talked to on the phone at this road said they didn't want it. So I guess what I'm saying is this, and I'm gonna just say a little bit, then make my motion. During the course of that meeting, he said, well, I have got a contract for AutoZone. He said that, you know, I got a contract for it, unless, you know, we want to put that there on this piece of property. And he asked the other residents who, my friend came up and said, she said that she lived in District 3. He said, well, I could have a meeting, and we could look at a nice restaurant on some other property, and we were talking about the Ginn property, which had nothing to do with that. That wasn't what was at hand. What was at hand was this piece of property on this corner. And half, well, maybe not half, maybe a third at the front, I was in Mount Miller Ways, said, yeah, so we need to forget this and go on and work on that plan to get the type of restaurant or maybe a type of building that Kevin had mentioned. Once again, I had nothing to do with that. I called my representative too as well on the phone. and I know and I love her. She said that she was convinced about the restaurant, something else, or that. But I said, what was at hand? And I said, I'm not questioning your motion or what you made. What was at hand was, why not advance auto part on that piece of partial property? And I kept getting a little bit of the same thing that I heard at the meeting. I thought about it, I prayed about it, and I said, well, I'm gonna come to the meeting, and I said, I may get toward and fell it after the meeting. I said, but I'm gonna just kind of state what I think is right. So, my fellow commissioner, I'd like to make a motion to approve the advanced auto part store, because I think the question that we asked why we couldn't. So my motion is to approve.
Mr. Commissioner, would that be subject to the conditions recommended?
Yes, absolutely. Staff recommendation.
Do we have a second? I do have a question before the vote. To explain to me the exact reason why they need a cup for this one. If it's already zoned general commercial, why do they need the conditional use permit for this one?
Yes, ma'am. It is a requirement of the Almond overlay for them to do that, so the auto zone can be there, with a conditional use permit from the board. So it's not like a by right use like the gas station would be.
Okay, so
There are a number of commercial uses that are allowed as a matter of right in that district. Convenience stores, I think. A whole long list, grocery list of commercial uses that are permitted without a CUP. Auto parts store, it does require a CUP. Essentially, anything that deals with automobiles requires a CUP, except for service stations for some reason, and convenience stores.
okay, and also on that, one more question on that. Can we amend it to add that not working on the cars? I mean, I know that we can't babysit it, but if we have it in the amendment that there's no cars in the parking lot that can be worked on, then we have a recourse. Hold up. Commissioner Edwards.
Well, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Not only that, but a stipulation that signs are added inside and outside the store that stipulate what you just stated.
Commissioner Henderson, would you amend do you want to?
I amend my motion to that effect.
To have the signs and to have no working on cars. Okay. We have a second. All those in favor? Raise a hand. Opposed? Okay. This just passes 3-1.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Now we're going to have public comments, and you can come up and speak about any subject. We're going to limit the time frame. For each speaker is allowed 3 minutes, and if I do have to ask you to stop, don't know that we're not being rude to you. That's just how it is, okay? Come on up.
Barbara Morgan, East Street, Covington. The newspaper headline said, "Did we need all of those deputies at the courthouse?" I wrote, "Dear editor, in what universe would it make sense for our county sheriff to send at least 50 seated deputies to fill the meeting room at the Board of Commissioners, who quickly adjourned to a confidential executive session on a personnel matter? Many, if not all of those deputies were either off duty or on overtime. Seeing the confluence of 50 or so sheriff deputy cars parked around the courthouse and judicial center, would that not have been a clue to potential lawbreakers that no one was on duty that night?" The sheriff's sad explanation was that the response was justified based on the online suggestion of potential disruption at a routine county meeting. Really? He strains credulity. County budget meetings are upcoming, and I will not be surprised to see the sheriff pay a heavy price for his unmerited and frankly extreme response to the potential for citizen voices to be heard or known in some way. deputies will likely suffer because of his extreme action. Did he by chance think that weapons could have been smuggled into the courthouse past the metal detectors his own deputies man at the entrance? Come on.
Thank you. Next.
Hello again. My name is Susan Jackson, and this is regarding the $1.9 million for the road improvements. While I appreciate the investment, I do have one question. If dividing the funding equally between districts is the best approach, I think there's a difference between equality and equity. Equality gives everyone the same amount. Equity directs the resources to where the greatest needs are. And I believe District 2 and District 3 have experienced a significant growth over the past several years, often without road impact fees being applied in a way that adequately address the strain on our infrastructure. As a result, these districts have absorbed so much traffic, congestion, and wear on our county roads. So I would like that list to be looked at again. I don't think District 1 should have the same amount of roads paved as District 2 and 3, and so on. And so please, adjust that. I'll be emailing you on Monday.
Thank you. Come on up. Give us your name.
Dave Norton, 4357 Highway 142, Newborn, Georgia. And yes, I'm here to talk about chickens. It's been said that we want a UDO that's unique to us. We don't want a cookie cutter. Thanks for the word. We don't want Alpharetta. We don't want Peachtree City. I'm sure if you look at their UDOs, that's probably a place you're going to find that says no hens, no roosters. How many times have we seen the 4-H group come into this room and do a presentation? Livestock is a big part of 4-H. We have a facility, I believe it's on Highway 36. It's called FFA. In case anyone doesn't know what FFA stands for Future Farmers of America, right here in Newton County. Number 2, data centers. If every county had what Newton County has, the controversy wouldn't be that big. We have a designated area for data centers. We need to keep it that way. To give them their own zoning would be like somebody holding a knife to you, asking you for your wallet, and you pull out your pistol and say, hold this while I dig out my wallet. You're giving them a tool to work with. It's been said, number 3, it's been said that growth is inevitable. Well, along with that growth, some people are not going to like what they're going to hear. Along with that growth, you should also say the sheriff is going to need more money because crime will increase. The schools are going to want to raise their taxes. We're going to need new infrastructure. We're going to need possibly a new water source. So anytime you ever hear or say the words growth is inevitable, don't forget to add them other things in there too, because you can't have one without the other. Thank you.
Come on up and give us your name for the record.
Hello, my name's Charlie Alexander, 794 Cooper Road, and I'm gonna be all over the place tonight. I'm pretty sure y'all can follow me. My daughter will be up later with the notes to hand out if that's acceptable, and I'm gonna start with, y'all got a lot of things to do. You're killing the elderly with taxes. At 65, we should be exempt. The Board of Education's not making it any easier on us. So you guys have got taxes to worry about. We don't want any more data centers. We don't want any more gas stations. not just the East End, all of us have had enough. And I was supposed to retire, and I'm on dialysis, and now my property's been paid for years. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. And you're running the elderly out of the houses. Last but not least, this gentleman, don't know him, just spoke on it. Y'all got other things to do than to worry about chickens and roosters. And then on top of that, we get comedic answers that really, people like me, and the only way I know how to say it, it pisses me off. You know, if you're gonna make fun of a subject, but you know, maybe you just shouldn't have made a comment, period. And it doesn't take but a small thing to upset the county, and it turns into a major thing to where everybody goes to looking at every issue. That gets y'all voted out. And at this point, I could care less. You stay in your office, you don't stay in your office. But don't make fun of constituents because they're complaining about something that never should have been put in, you know, never should have been put out to start with. That's all I've got to say. My daughter's going to speak, and if Madam Chair will let her hand packets out with names on them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I am Carly Alexander, 794 Cooper Road. And yes, I am another one that is up here to speak on the chickens. And I know that it has not been put up for a vote, and I know that it probably got blown way out of proportion. But as a former FFA student who did my SAE project on raising, breeding, and selling chickens, you take that rooster out of the mix, it's gone. It's gone. Then everybody goes, and everybody can agree, we go back to paying $4 a dozen for eggs at the grocery store. $4 a dozen, and you've got the numbers in there. $4 a dozen is ridiculous. The amount that you would, of eggs that you would get at the end if you raised your own birds exceeds what you buy in the grocery store, and the quality is so much better. The quality is so much better. You know what's going into your birds. You know what your birds have been fed. You know where those eggs are coming from. And the eggs from a fresh farm are so much better than the crap that is served in our grocery stores. And I am a mother now, so I'm very, very passionate about what my 4-year-old autistic child gets, because he's already up against a whole lot in this world. Not only if you take away the amount of birds that you can have out in 10 plus acres, 2 acres is what it was said, 10 birds for somebody that's got 30 acres is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And again, you take the rooster out of the mix, when that flock dies, how do you replenish your birds? Because you can't have a fertile egg without a rooster, just like you can't have a baby without a man and a woman. And then you take into account of, you've got places in Covington that sell chickens. You just told them they can no longer sell straight runs because they take a chance of getting a rooster. So how is that going to affect Ace Hardware and Tractor Supply, that a lot of people that buy their dog food, their flea and tick medicine, their cattle, their livestock feed, how is that going to look on y'all if this goes through? And I have said this before, and Mr. Stain, you were in the meeting when I spoke on the fire departments. It's my generation that if something doesn't change, will vote each and every one of you out. And I promise it will happen. And I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Next.
John Dobbs, I live on Dry Pond Road. I'm up here talking about property taxes. I've heard that some of y'all want to raise the taxes by $1 million. Well, when you do that, you might as well come and get all the senior citizens' homes and give them to the county. We're already strapped. They give us a Social Security gives us a 2.5% raise. Medicare goes up 5%. DeKalb County, only way I get a raise from DeKalb County is the commissioners have to vote for it. And that ain't gonna happen for another 3 years. So whoever wants to raise the millage rate that's on this board, you got 2 senior citizen centers that I know of. One in District 2 up there by Denny Dobbs Park. One at Turner Hill. Whoever wants to raise the taxes, go to Senior Citizen Center and tell the seniors, we're gonna have to raise your taxes. We know you can't afford it, but we're gonna raise them anyhow. So y'all gonna have to get a putt tent and live out on the county somewhere. Then they're gonna arrest us. That'll be all right with me. Sheriff had to give me a bed. That's all y'all gonna do is take the senior citizens' homes away.
Thank you. Next.
Marie Million, District 3. I have a couple of topics. First of all, in terms of planning and zoning, tonight there was an issue about who got letters and who didn't. Even though many people drive by the signs are small. I think we talked about transparency earlier this year. And I feel like it would be a great idea to have all of the planning and zoning issues, like any town halls, on the website. Because this way people can get more involved and they'll actually know about it. I know for myself, I get alerts when there's actually a planning and zoning meeting, but it would be nice to know, where the latest zoning issues are immediately and if there's gonna be a town hall about it. Another thing about transparency, the commissioner's packets. Ms. Nolly, I'm still having to write you. I wish that those commissioner packets were just online. So again, another suggestion, please put those online. In terms of that issue with the auto zone tonight, I was at the second meeting. I think one of the issues that we've had in this county is that in terms of economic growth, and we're not gelling with the economic development within this community. We have Sarah Hall over it, and I know they've been looking at industrial development for years, but now it's time to look at small businesses. You have the Kroger Plaza on Salem Road across the street from it. It's empty. We do need new businesses. We don't mind the growth, but it has to be smart growth. And I wish that when developers would come, they would first listen to people instead of coming with the idea and pushing it on us. We don't want an auto zone, but now we're gonna get one. And lastly, in terms of the whole issue with Sheriff Brown and having the deputies here last week, there were comments online, and I do feel it was credible for him to have his deputies here. It wasn't an issue. I was here. Within a few minutes, they left. That there was no intimidation or whatever was being stated online. I didn't see that, and I was sitting right here on the second row. So that's all that I have to say. Thank you.
John Clemens, Covington, Georgia. I want to basically ask some questions to your all's lawyer, especially here, since he was referring to this item number 14 that you all voted to delay for another 60 days, which I'm kind of glad that you did that. If I understood correctly as he was talking, you have 3 or 4 layers of a grievance process, let me use it that way. And now you're asking to bring in a lawyer to have another one. Well, I have a couple of questions. Number one, is that lawyer, he's not gonna be doing this for free. And as many people have already talked about the taxes, what are we doing there? Are we adding another layer and in the process adding more to what we've got to pay out of the county budget? It would seem to me that if you had 3 or 4 layers that you could come to a viable conclusion at that point. If you've got to go to an arbitration, sounds like you got more problems than what you really are considering. So I'm glad that you all decided to table this, and I hope that when you do actually begin to discuss it, that you will discuss it at length as to what the impact of this person is going to be on the end results and if it's actually really necessary. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Can you state your name, please?
My name is Tracy Belcher. I'm in District 2.
Thank you, Tracy.
I want to speak on about last Thursday when y'all was here. It's so many, comments about Sheriff Brown being here. Me, myself, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Second of all, I want to speak on the same night. Everybody talking about Sheriff Brown using the taxpayers' money. Well, it was a recount that the taxpayers had to pay for, that the commission brought up and was never there. That's what we talking about. Like I said, we'd rather be safe than sorry. So Sheriff Brown did a good job. I'm pretty sure y'all said the same thing. But like we said, it was a recount that the commissioner did not obtain, that he called, that he had to have. That's what we talking about.
All right, come on down. Make sure you speak directly in the mic so everybody can hear.
Hey, my name is Jamie Corley, and I live at 240 Greenwood Circle, Oxford, Georgia, and I'm here about the chickens and the roosters. And first, I just want to tell you probably some things you already know about the world we live in. This information is from CBS, and we have a beef shortage in the world. Like, y'all buy a hamburger, the hamburger's $15, right? That used to be $5. And according to CBS, that's not going to change anytime soon. Got 2 years. According to the National Library of Medicine, we have emerging infectious diseases, re-emerging infectious diseases, and viral infectious diseases that are continuing to be more serious. We've got the hantavirus. As we know, U.S. gas prices have surged roughly 50% because we're at war. We're at war. Right? It'd be nice if we had a real-world experiment like COVID to see if supply chains would be disrupted if something bad happened in our economy and in our world. Oh yeah, we did. We had supply chain disruption. The government didn't come to my door and hand me toilet paper. Did anybody here get toilet paper? Was there a government official standing there handing something out to you? No. We were all in the same storm. We weren't all in the same boat, but we all had the storm of COVID, right? And our world kind of teeters. We kind of teeter back and forth, right? So I think that it is unwise for a community to not be self-sufficient. I think it is, if we fail to plan, we're planning to fail. We need to be encouraging our community to be self-sufficient. The chickens and roosters are one thing that does that. If we wanted, we could have a community garden. We could have tax breaks for people who had chickens, who had cows, who had goats, who had their own gardens. You could make this a motion and put it on here, and you could be literally voting for something that's going to cause your own personal demise. I'm not afraid of something bad happening, but I want to be wise, and I don't want to be prideful and think, oh, that's not going to happen to us. That can't happen because it already did at COVID. We saw. Right? And so now a lot of us in our community are trying to be prepared, and you're taking that away. And incidentally, she was upset about $4. In COVID, they were $8. Eggs were $8 a carton, right? So it's really important. And there are over 500 signatures on that petition. But if this becomes an issue, we'll get more. We'll have more people here.
Thank you
So,
very, thank you very much.
Good evening, Elena Sanders. I agree with my neighbor in regards to the resolution, but we do need some checks and balances, and I'm gonna tell you why. I've had employees who have come to me personally because they know I speak out, because they were afraid to go to their superior. And some of it sometimes they said it was the county manager. Not saying it was this specific acting county manager, but they had issues. So my question is, where's the checks and balances, and what gives the employee the opportunity to report something that's happening to them without being afraid to lose their job? And while I brought that up, Representative Clint Crowell years ago gave us a copy of his resolution he did for his counties. They created an ethics board. Newton County needs an ethics board. It can include residents that are appointed to that board to give the opportunity for those employees to have the leeway of reporting various things, because they're afraid of losing their jobs if they speak out. So there does need to be some type of checks and balances. Going back to a little bit of the budget, you guys were speaking about the cars, and I don't know if you remember, and I don't think Commissioner Long was here, but there was a report of all the cars at the sheriff's office. And a lot of them were over 300,000 miles. So the commission board said every year we're going to replenish the fleet to make sure that our deputies are safe, so we have cars where the air conditioner's not going off, going hot, or whatever. So that's where it came from, the cars that were coming per year, because there was issues. I don't know, you can go back and pull those reports as well as the videos where the commission actually voted to replenish those cars per year. How many, that's on the board, but we did have cars that were over the capacity of 300,000 miles. Going back to this, I wasn't gonna bring this up. I sent the email April 19th in regards to my campaign signs and others. And the only reason why I brought this up, because I'm hearing this has happened in other counties. You all have a tractor service or whatever, and then I did an open records asking for the consultant. I was given the name of the consultant and found out that wasn't the consultant, because he said he does not mow the grass here in Newton County. So what happened is you have people who are cutting the grass, were cutting up certain candidate sign and picking up those I guess they prefer, I don't know, and laying those on the side. Now the issue is not cut up the campaign signs, because it's a federal law of destroying signs, but you left the debris in our community where when you cut up the signs, the trash is flying all over. Not only that, you use the tractor to cut up the stakes that could have hit someone in the community. So you're damaging people's property instead of laying aside or allowing code enforcement to come get it. It's happening in other counties as well. And the county employees should not be involved in anything political dealing with candidates where you actually are going over certain candidate sign and taking the time to get off the tractor and putting the other ones down. I have tried to keep this silent. I sent this April 19th, and I still have not received a resolution on why this is happening. Thank you
so much. Thank you. Can you say your?
Hi, my name is Rain Boyd. I live at 989 Highway 11 South in Social Circle, which is District 5. So I am on the ag side of town. And I just wanted to kind of bring to attention the focus that's already been talking about with the chickens. But aside from the data that had already been talked about, I am a land steward. I own a land steward company, Victory Gardens Pyrene. I also have a nonprofit where we go into food deserts and we assess the situation and we grow food. I have 6 gardens going already. So I want to give you that stat to let you know that my heart is for land stewardship. So when there's an announcement out to farmers and people who steward the land about a ordinance going out to remove one of the crucial components of stewarding the land, there's an alarm that spreads, and it spreads quickly and it spreads hot. And so my petition here to you guys is to understand that most of your voters are people who steward the land, whether it be with livestock, whether it be with gardens, whether it be investing in students, however it is. But one and all, we all eat. And so when your response, because you have to, right? You're in a position to where you have to respond to issues that come up. You know, that's why we vote for you guys, is if there's a complaint or if there's a series of events that happen to where you have to make an ordinance, maybe there's different ways that we can go through without eliminating sufficiency for people who have farms. I have 2 acres, and so that means I would only be able to have 4 chickens. And to me, I steward a 1/4 acre of that land, and I can develop out almost 3,000 pounds of food from that amount of land. But I have to have systems in place, and I have to be able to define and rely on those systems. So because I also teach this, and because I have it, like people come to my home, I just want to really highlight the urgency that please hear us when we say that we understand that you're in a position to where you have to make some decisions, but please understand that we are located where we're located. I purchased my land. I have neighbors that are cows. Like my neighbors are cows, and I did that on purpose so that I could steward the land. So please don't take that away from us. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Maya Allen, D3. I want to first apologize for being out of order at the beginning of the session. And I support and stand with my chicken and rooster neighbors. I had absolutely no idea that there were so many. But the real reason why I'm up here is because I want it on record that there is a parcel of land that would be ideal from the high level looking at it for our West Side Youth Facility. It's approximately 20 acres. Room for a building, gym, outdoor recreation, parking, and future expansion. It's located in a growing residential corridor near Newton County schools and neighborhoods. Road access from Hinton Circle with proximity to Fairview Road, large enough to accommodate a phased project approach. The address is 291 Hinton Circle, Covington, Georgia, 30016. It sits in between Fairview Road and Womack. Thank you.
Much. Hello, can you please state your name? You might have to bring that microphone down a little bit for you, darling.
Hello, my name is Therese. Therese Denby. I'm from District 2. My husband and I recently located from Pennsylvania. Excuse me. One of the reasons why we moved is so that we can have a garden and chickens. We need to be self-reliant. We need to just us. Because of what happened with COVID, and I'm a chef, and I realize that a lot of our food is chemically processed, including our chickens. They're not eating the proper feeds. And I have 1 kidney. I've had this kidney for 56 years, and I like to keep it. But I'd like to be able to grow my own chickens, my own food, raw ingredients. So that's why I came to the meeting tonight. Hope you can hear us. Thank you.
Be careful.
Good evening. My name is Alex. I am a part-time student and a part-time helper on our family's chicken farm, but that is not what this is about at the moment. I come to speak on the data center issue that apparently I wasn't aware of until a few days ago, so my preparation on this is a little shaky. But you're going to have a few problems with that already, because In recent history, as far as my research from online sources go, data centers are not very popular at the moment. Somewhere over in the West, to my best recollection, somebody had put a data center up somewhere in a drought, and their people, as far as I have checked, are on a water ration, essentially. Now, these data centers, I don't know how much water they take, but to be on a ration of water, one of the three things that you need to be able to survive, something's telling me that somewhere we should be rethinking this. Because not only are you going to have water problems, you are also going to have electrical problems too, because as far as I'm aware, our grid here is not prepared for it. It's also going to take a toll on everybody behind me who's going to be paying for the electric bill. And as for the chickens, when I'm not in school, help my parents with their tending of their chickens. As far as eggs go, I don't know if somebody's got a grudge or something, but this ain't founded. At least not to me, that is. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Mike Davis. I live over in Newton Factory Bridge Road. I'd like to address the commission regarding taxes in this county. My wife and I moved here a few years ago from Gwinnett County. At the time, we thought it was the best move we made. Newton is definitely a lot better than Gwinnett. When we moved here, we were both retired, and we were comfortable with our incomes, with our lifestyle. But as you know, prices have gone up. You keep taxing us, you're going to tax us out of our house. You are going to tax us onto the streets. And that's a lot of other people that's going to be in the same way. If you're going to raise the taxes, raise it on those that can afford it, the businesses, not the people. Give us old folks a tax break. We've spent our lifetime working. Let us retire and enjoy life. Which brings me to the chicken issue. Yes, I was happy. I've got 5.5 acres. Up until my retirement, I had a half-acre lot at best. Now I've got that 5 acres. I've got my chickens. I put food on my table, and my son's table, and his family, and my daughter's table, my sister's table, and my son's in-laws. I've only got a few chickens. Don't tell me what I can and cannot do with them. Don't take the food out of my mouth. And chickens also provide income for some seniors. Yes, somebody's got 20 or 30 chickens, 40 chickens. They're putting a couple of extra bucks in their pocket. They can afford what they couldn't without the chickens. Don't tell us what we can and cannot do. We know what we can and cannot do. If you want to restrict numbers in subdivisions, fine. I can understand subdivisions. But don't tell me I can't have but 5 or 10 chickens. That's not enough to feed me, much less my family. Thank you.
Good evening, Kim Shue, Social Circle. I wanted to talk about the budget. I appreciate the commissioners taking their time to line item and go through them and be very thoughtful about how you're going to spend our tax dollars. I do have issue with saying that employees need raises. I worked in the corporate America for 20 years. 2 of those 20 years, the business came to us and said, we can't afford raises this year. I didn't quit.
I didn't leave. I was thankful to have a job. And I know people like raises, they're great, but sometimes everyone has to take one for the team. And this year, I think that needs to happen. And then as far as the chickens, do what you need to do, but also listen to the people. I live in a neighborhood where there's 5, 10, 20 acre tracts. I hear a rooster. It doesn't bother me a bit. I didn't want to talk about the chickens, but everybody's talking about the chickens. But I'm thankful people are talking about the chickens because it's brought people here to hear all the other stuff they need to hear to become involved in the community. So if it takes chickens to get you here, let's talk about the chickens.
I have to keep order, but I do agree with that clapping, so go ahead. Let's let somebody that hasn't first, and then you can. Okay.
This is quick. My beautiful lady back here spoke on, Carly Alexander, 794 Cooper Road. I apologize. This beautiful lady back here spoke on the petition. I'm pretty sure that you know who started the petition. That was me. As of right now, we have 562 signatures in less than a week. And as I stated before, I understand you have to have order. Me and you, Mr. Sand, we had a conversation on Facebook. I understand we have to have order. But I have signatures on here. This petition has been pushed out of the country at this point. I have a signature all the way from Australia that has felt strongly enough to weigh in on Newton County, Georgia. So please, please listen to us, as everybody else has said. I want my 4-year-old to be able to grow up, and if he wants to go in his backyard and see his pet rooster that he named Turkey, he's allowed to do that, and that's not taken away from him. So much is already being taken away from our younger generation right now. Don't let chickens be the hill that you die on, please.
Nobody.
And thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your name for the record, please.
Kyle Edwards, District 5. This is the first meeting I've ever attended. I'm pretty sure I'm one of the few under 40, but I moved here from Henry County 2 years ago, hoping to start a life with family. Obviously, chickens are on the menu, have a garden. I understand how the subject of this has come about, and I know it's probably getting blown out of proportion, but I think a lot of us want to go ahead and get ahead of it now. What we do in our backyards really isn't any of y'all's concern, unless it pertains to building code or anything like that. How we put food on our family's table, that's kind of our business at this point. If we're doing it lawfully, within reason, I don't see any reason for us to be having this discussion in the first place. Secondly, as it pertains to the data centers, it's pretty clear social media is getting pretty heated about that subject. I'm wondering why we're having this discussion in this county about a data center. We all know the negative effects that are coming along with that in the first place. I understand there's probably zoning in place for it. That can be a subject we can discuss later as it comes up. But yeah, I'm in favor of no restrictions as it pertains to chickens, whether it's in the city, out of the city, suburbs, subdivisions, it doesn't matter. If someone's putting food on their table, that's their business. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
I'm supposed to only let you come up and do 3 minutes, but since I let the other lady do it, I'm going to let you do it.
The chickens caught me off guard. No, we're back to the budget. I didn't realize that 70% of our budget was around public safety. If we have not done some sort of audit that also includes a citizen advisory panel so that you can go line by line so we can actually see and be very transparent about what's in there, we need to audit 70% of that budget. It doesn't make any sense for it to be 70%. And if we are going to actually be good stewards of the money, and as you've heard from senior citizens here being taxed out of their homes, we need to know where every dollar is going.
And I do suggest some sort of third party come in and do that, and also have a citizens review board panel with that company.
All right, the last time, we cannot do more than 3 minutes, so this is it. I'm trying to let people's voices be heard, but you can contact all of us. These guys are going to kill me in about 5 minutes.
Madam Vice Chairman, I would just like to call a point of order. Each public comment is limited to 3 minutes. If you let someone come up again, you've given them another 3 minutes. Just a point of order. Thank you.
I know, I realize that. The attorney just told me that, so I appreciate that, David. All right. Next I'm going to go to the commissioners for comments. Mr. Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So, I'll be brief. I gotta go feed my chickens, and that's not a joke. I for real have to go feed my chickens and collect the eggs. Actually, they're my brothers. I'm in the process of redoing my coop. I have 42 acres. I have a small farm. I have 10 acres of corn. I harvest my corn, I eat my corn, I shoot the rabbits, I eat the rabbits, I shoot the deer, I eat the deer. So I live off the land. I have lived off my chickens. I don't have any right now. I'm getting some more. But we made the awesome mistake 2 weeks ago of actually having the gall to review current chicken ordinances. Now, how many knew we already had chicken ordinances? Not many. So we're redoing our entire county ordinance right now. So that's just one of the things we look at, like speed limits on side roads. Now, I'm not in favor of nobody's going to come to anybody's house and take a chicken, especially not mine, right? So I think so when we have a discussion about goats, where are we going to go? And I can't believe we're having this discussion right now, but where are we going to go with goats? Where are we going with cows? I got cows. Who's got cows? So where are we going? Where are we going with those issues? You know, so it's a small thing in the grand scheme of things, and I don't want to diminish anything anybody said here, especially the more passionate people. But we're not trying to take away chickens, for God's sake. We made the mistake, like I said, of reviewing what the chicken ordinances were. And we've got them, just like we got goats and pigs and cows and horses. We've got those ordinances today. We're reviewing those. I don't see us changing. I won't vote to change the chicken ordinances. I'm known as the chicken Nazi apparently already. So, you know, I can't understand. But the one good thing, somebody said it. I forget the gentleman moved here from Henry County. He says, long as they're abiding by the law, I'm okay with them having chickens. Well, there is a chicken law. There's livestock laws already. So I just want to make sure everybody knew that. You know, I don't make a point of feeding the bears, right? So, but here we are talking about this. But I guess the one good thing about this is it got more people here for the discussions that they need to hear, the budget stuff, and where we're headed with our budget, and some of the other things that are going on with our county. So, if there's one good thing about me being the chicken Nazi, it's the fact that people are coming out to scream at me. So, thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Commissioner Mason, I know you want to talk about chickens.
No. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Actually, I just have a couple of announcements. We did originally have a Keep Newton Beautiful cleanup for District 2 this Saturday. Unfortunately, we are going to have to reschedule it. We're looking at a couple of dates right now, probably July the 18th. But I will definitely do my best to make sure that once we set that new date, that I will basically come back and inform the District 2 residents of that, and make sure that we actually have that on social media as well, so that everybody's familiar with that date. Also, we are looking forward to our next movie in the park. It'll be centered around Juneteenth, which will be on June the 19th, which is a Friday. And so we want to invite the community out to that event. on June 19th. So it'll be our Juneteenth movie in the park. And so we look forward to a great event. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. My comment is this: if you think things are going to get bad, they're going to get even worse. Wait until November.
Is that it?
Yes, ma'am. I'm through.
Okay. So I'm District Commissioner 5, so I'm going to get to talk for a minute. Just want to bring up, just like Commissioner Edwards said, the consultant had on their list about the chickens, okay? We have to discuss all ordinances that we're looking at everything. And if you're this passionate, I want you to get involved in the ordinances, okay? I want you to start looking at them and helping us because we can't do it alone, okay? Nobody ever talked about taking your chickens away. I live on 9 acres in District 5. I have a little small garden, and I am a senior citizen also. So we're experiencing the same things that you are, okay? I think there's 3 of us up here that are seniors, okay? Not that we like to admit it. You are. You're older than me. So anyway, I want you to understand that it got blown out of proportion because people took what was on the screen, and this is the consultant, they have the advisory committees, and some of this information was from the advisory committee. It was not from anybody changing anything. In fact, we said that night that you got to go back and look at this ordinance. The concerns are going to be the people that live on a half-acre lot or a quarter-acre lot or live in an apartment community or something like that. Nobody's trying to take farming away from anybody. Nobody's trying, I mean, that's the beauty of the east side of the county. We love that. We love horses and chickens and cows and all those things. So nobody's trying to take anything away from anyone. And so everybody was getting uproar about the chickens, but no, we weren't the ones taking it away. We want your input. And a lot of people I reached out to and said, give us the solution. Everything's not about being mad or angry. It's about solutions. So if you're that passionate, we want to hear from you, and we are hearing from you, and that's fine. But nobody's trying to take away anybody's food off their table. I mean, I have probably a man across the street probably has 45 goats. I don't think he's supposed to have 45 goats across the street from me. But do I care? No, I'm not calling code enforcement on this gentleman. Okay, I don't care. And nobody's coming to your house to get your chickens and take them away from you. If you got all them eggs, send me some. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I'm just saying that was never the intent. That was never the point. So, somebody mentioned to me about somebody doing a petition. There was no need for a petition because we're not taking anything away from you. If you spoke out tonight, I would love for you to email me. We'd love to get some input. But there are people that live in other parts of the county that they're looking at us like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. These people are talking about chickens. Because they live on a quarter-acre lot or they live on a small lot. They don't want chickens running around behind them. So we have to look at everybody and have to come up with compromises. Has nothing to do with large acres. It has nothing to do with people that have farms, people that are certain zonings, different things like that. But I have heard some good comments from some of the people that are about solutions, that they don't like some of the situations that we have as far as the sizes and the roosters. And I learned a lot about roosters the last week. The other thing, if you're coming to these meetings now and you're asking us about data center, we have been anti-data center for 15 months. So we're not talking about data centers, okay? In fact, our wonderful attorney here just had a great I don't even know what you call it, but anyway, we'll put it out there. We had a suit that we were being sued by another area, and we were able to win that suit, I guess is what you call it. But anyway, we'll put more information out about that. We're not pro that right now. We think there's a lot of issues, and more issues are coming out about data centers, so we appreciate the feedback about that. As far as businesses, real quick, we can't dictate to what business comes. If it is zone commercial, I would love to have different businesses, but you can't just tell somebody they can't have something because you would rather have a restaurant or something like that. It has to do with zoning. And if these are not the right businesses, we agree that we need to all work and get the right businesses. So thank you all for coming out tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn? And we do not need an executive session. It's on the agenda. Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor of adjourn? Thank you very much for coming.